Hey everybody, I'm Brandon, and what you're about to see is an old video I recorded forever ago for a different channel. It's a little rough, I'm still working on it, but I still thought there was some good information there. I paint a power sword, so I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, let me know what you think about it. It is an old video, so just be patient. Thank you. Alright, getting started, I base coated with Duraluminum, Vallejo Metal Color, and Pro Acryl Dark Gray Blue. My reasoning behind doing the metallic first is that if anything ever gets chipped off or the tape tears anything up or like that, you're going to see the silver underneath and it's going to look a lot better than black primer. The most important thing here is to make sure you're working in very light and even coats. Alright, so apply your masking tape like this, and just know we're working on the blade in 4/4 on opposite sides. Alright, and next we're going to mix at like a 70-30 ratio of dark gray blue and temple guard blue. If I would have had the turquoise Pro Coat at the time, I would have used that instead because it works a lot better. Make sure you're thinning these all really well and you're testing consistency before you put on the model. And we're just going to slowly add this to about midway to the front of the blade and then the back of the blade. Make sure you're working very thin, very slow. Take your time. Make this as smooth as you can. Alright, and then you're going to flip it over and you're going to do the same pattern on the opposite side of the blade. One thing to keep in mind is if you're not super diligent about releasing the trigger all the way back before you let go of the air, test out your airbrush on your paper towel before you start again. It's a good habit to get into. You'll thank me later when you're splattering paint you did not want in your model. And the next step, we're going to mix our base color with a dark gray. And you just want to put as thin a line of this as you can in between your base coat. It's just going to increase the contrast and have more visual interest. One thing that I found helped me in all these steps was starting on the tape first and then moving your stream of paint onto the model and then back onto the other piece of tape. That way you get a little bit of a preview of your trigger control before it goes in the model. Alright, next step is we're just going to thin down pure temple guard blue or turquoise or really any color you want. You could mix and match this however you like in whatever color. It's the same concept. Most of the time I like thinning my paints in a cup before I put it in the airbrush. You can also do this in the airbrush itself, but it's safer this way because sometimes when you mix in your airbrush, it can kind of get clogged and it's kind of hard to work out. Again, it's super important before you ever think about putting airbrush paint on a model. Test its consistency on something, your paper towel, your hand, anything but the model itself. And then we're going to apply this right in the middle of where we had our mix of our base color and our turquoise color. The super important part here is that the area is smaller than that previous layer. You can see I kind of had an issue with the temple guard blue. I had to thin it a lot to get it to even run through the airbrush. That's why if I would have had the turquoise from one of my hobbies at that point, I would have used it because I don't have those issues with those paints. Alright, and the next color mix we're doing is we're just going to add bold titanium white into our temple guard blue. And this I just added directly to the airbrush. Make sure you add a little bit of thinner as well and test the consistency before you spray the model. So the white mixes with whatever you have left in your airbrush and this has a little bit of a tint of the previous color. And you're going to apply this just like the last step, but only leaving a little line right in the middle. This next step is a little bit different. We're going to make a really transparent glaze. This particular mix was contrast Aether Mag Blue and then blue ink. And even though these paints are already really transparent, you're going to want to thin it down a little bit. And then we're just going to go ahead and apply that glaze over the entire length of the blade. This is going to smooth our transitions and tie everything together. It's really important to make sure this completely dries before the next step. Finally, we're going to go back with our bold titanium white and give an even smaller line through that highlight. You can see that I practiced on the tape to kind of get a feel of my trigger control at that very moment. You can see I kind of messed up there. Luckily, I got into a part of the blade that I was going to repaint anyway. Just know, everyone makes mistakes. They're all fixable. It's alright. And now that we have that last highlight, go back with our glaze and just barely touch it. And that's it, we're halfway done with the power sword. Make sure it dries completely and then take off the tape. I would recommend a matte varnish at this point. You don't have to, but it's going to lock in what you've done so far and protect all that work you've done. Alright, and for the other side, it's just the opposite. And you're also going to place the highlights in opposite parts of the blade as well. So the tip and then about the middle of the back. And after this, you're like 99% done. The only thing left is edge highlighting. Make sure you get these edge highlights as thin as you can. Alright, and then here's the grand reveal of the whole model.